whether it's running a workshop or a group or being with my kids or my husband or my dear friends. I can drop from my head and show up with a full heart and be present. For me, agency is presence, also equals presence, not being caught up in the past and ruminating about the future, but actually being here right now, like I am with you, and holding that space for myself and for whoever I'm with.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Gilda Evans, bringing you the Autism Resource Podcast. This podcast and the ARP website are your one-stop knowledge and resource base for autism and much more. I'm pleased to have Liz Gabor join me as my guest today. Liz is a certified Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher, a certified transformational coach and trainer, and a wellness retreat leader. Her teachings include providing accessible tools to regulate the nervous system, tune into one's inner guidance, expand awareness, and go beyond perceived limits. Her work is deeply rooted in helping to cultivate self-care rituals and practices that create resilience and foster a kinder and gentler way of being with oneself and, in turn, with others. Welcome, Liz, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me today and discuss the work that you do.
Thank you, Gilda. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
To begin with, tell me, how do you define self-care and why do you feel it's important for those who are neurodiverse as well as for their caregivers and families?
It's definitely a topic that's near and dear to my heart and something that I do teach all of my clients, but also being a mom of a neurodivergent child, I didn't know about self-care techniques until he was about 3 years old. I'm also a contributing author in the book Superheroes on the Spectrum, which I had the opportunity to write a chapter in, really talking about the beauty and challenges of raising my beautiful son, Jeremy. And I really try to break self-care down into little micro self-care steps. I define self-care as attuning to the needs and desires, my own needs and desires and your own needs and desires on a moment-to-moment basis, and really honoring them and asking for help when I need help. So tuning in, whether it's needing somebody to do an errand for me or just needing to just have some rest time. So I think it's something that is top of mind, needs to be top of mind for all of us. We need to fill our own cup first in order to be able to provide care for all the ones that we love.
Then what do you mean when you say it's necessary to have agency over your own life and have your own back?
The way I think of agency is, how do I want to be? How do I want to show up in the world? What's the energy I want to bring into wherever I am going? And that's a decision that I can make prior to going into any situation. There's different ways that I can handle that. I don't believe the movement, like just say no, be able to say no to everything. And I think sometimes, even if you don't really want to do something, showing up for yourself is really sometimes so worth it, actually. So that's also agency. But really, again, it's having your own back, being your own first client. I say you need to be your number one client. I need to be my number one client and follow my heart, drop from my head into my heart more often. And so when I do show up somewhere, whether it's for myself, making myself a healthy meal, whether it's running a workshop or a group or being with my kids or my husband or my dear friends, I can drop from my head and show up with a full heart and be present. For me, agency is presence, also equals presence, not being caught up in the past and ruminating about the future, but actually being here right now, like I am with you, and holding that space for myself and for whoever I'm with.
Yeah, that's not easy, is it? Because we always seem to tend to want to ruminate on the past, as you say, or project into the future. And it so often causes us so much worry and anxiety and angst. Whereas if we can just be present in the moment and realize that ruminating on the past isn't going to change anything or be helpful, and projecting like that into the future, it's, well, it hasn't happened yet, and it may not,
And I was somebody who was a big ruminator for many years, very much thinking about what could have been, what should have been, what might be. And I just come to now, it's just automatic that I just stop and be, just stop in the moment and be in a question. If I do have a thought, because not that I don't have those thoughts anymore, it's just that I can stop and ask myself, first, is it true? Is that thought true? I know it's true. That's the work of Byron Katie, but it's also just something that I have trained myself to ask myself, and actually with my clients as well. Just stop yourself for a minute and say, really, is that true? And give yourself a break, because most of the time, as we know, we have so many thoughts, over 60,000 or something thoughts a day. And most of them are thoughts from the day before, 90% or something like that. And often they're negative thoughts. Learning how to question your beliefs. Don't believe everything you think is what I say.
I had somebody put that to me in a way that really struck me, in the way that they expressed what you were expressing. And they described it as misusing our gift of thought when we do things like that. And I thought, wow, what an interesting way of putting something, because it really is a gift that we have. And when we use it to hurt ourselves, that is misusing it, isn't it?
And then we're not going to stop the thoughts. Our brain it's just like our heart beats, our brain thinks. But again, was designed for safety, which is why we have all these negative, fearful thoughts. So that's when we have to stop again and drop into the heart, because that's the real, I think, is where the truth lives. It's where our soul lives. And that's where we can assess, is this thought helping me or is this thought hurting me? Yeah. I love that. I love that way. How I've never heard that said like that. I remember the quote that I love that changed my life a lot was Wayne Dyer: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I was like, oh, wow. And I started really checking out that theory. And it's so true. We can really create whatever thoughts we want around things and make them feel much more easy to manage, much more peaceful, much more loving, and less stressful, for sure.
I like that quote too. I like that quote a lot. Then tell me, describe for me some of your favorite self-care practices and some ways that people can help them find their center fast. And also, specifically, if you've noticed certain practices that are really helpful for those who, for example, have autism or are neurodiverse in some other way, that really help them focus and find that center place.
I really believe in having micro practices that you have to do them. You got to have. So I like to give people and family and friends little simple back pocket practices. And number one, I think for anyone, any human, is just to get outside in nature. Step outside if you can. If you're in a place where you can have no shoes, socks on, step your feet onto the earth and just take a moment to just observe the nature. Just tune into your senses. Breathe. Just hear what you hear, see what you smell. And going even further, knowing that you are nature, we are nature, and just seeing ourselves that we are a part of it all. And if you look around, I try to count how many colors of green do I see on the trees. And I mean, I could see 57 different shades with one walk outside. It doesn't matter if you live in a city or just getting outside to the fresh air. That's number one. And then breathing techniques. I've taught my son, and just simple breathing techniques, just stopping, maybe putting your hands over your heart. You feel your heartbeat. Just from doing this, just from putting your hands over your heart, you start to secrete feel-good hormones. That's science. And just stopping. And again, just catching yourself breathing, just following the inhale, following that exhale. There's many breathing techniques, which I could share any with you, but I think just again, stopping, pausing, tuning into your breath for a moment is very powerful. And then for some people who find it difficult to stop movement or moving a lot, actually to move your body, to either put on a song, that's one thing I do every morning, and dance to it without it, like no one's watching, or there's a practice just shaking, bouncing and shaking, just shaking out the stress. It's also proven an ancient practice I learned from the Center for Mind Body Medicine. I did it for 40 minutes a day for 40 days when I was training, and it just clears out a lot of the stuckness that gets stuck in our tissues. So moving meditations for some people who find it difficult to sit in stillness. So again, walking in nature, getting up and changing your scenery, just washing the dishes mindfully. So feeling the water on your hands and being grateful that you have hands to wash your dishes with, just a few.
It sounds to me a lot like being present again, just being present in the moment and being very aware of your surroundings and attuned to yourself and your body. It makes a lot of sense. So
movement in any way. So it doesn't have to be shaking, but just moving your body, getting up and moving. Rather than, especially if you're sitting and you're in a feeling stressed or in a slump or worried.
So you mentioned that you did this every day. Is it important to do this every day and with specific intention?
I really wanted to see how it would, and 40 days was what the challenge was, to do it for 40 days. I think it's great to do anything that works for you. So I think 3 minutes is great. I've also taught it to kids who were going into an exam, whether it was for college entrance exam or high school. I've taught it also. And before going in to take a test, they just take a couple minutes and move their body or kind of bounce and shake and just get it out. And they just walk in with much more clarity. I think we have to do the practices. I wish that we didn't. I wish it was that we didn't. We could just think about them and get the results. But unfortunately, you don't get the benefits unless you actually do the practices. And again, micro practices really can be very effective. You don't have to sit in meditation for 20 minutes to get the benefits, I believe.
You mentioned that there are 3 important questions to ask yourself with regard to self-care. What are those questions?
I learned them from a coach a long time ago, but I still use them when I keep a journal during the day sometimes when I want to repeat the question. So I just usually put my hand on my heart, and the questions are, how do I feel? What do I need? What do I want? And really asking them daily when I wake up. And sometimes I just want a day to just rest. And again, if I'm able to, of course, I know life is life. But again, what do I need today? Maybe I really need some connection with a friend. So I'm going to schedule that in. I'm going to schedule that call to a friend, or I'm going to go and get some healthy foods that I can prepare and nourish my body in the way that I know it needs it. I'm feeling depleted. And then what do I want? That's a tricky one, I think, because we weren't trained to ask ourselves, what do I want? What do I want? But I do think it's a really important question to tune into. What do I want? What do I want? And if you keep asking yourself, it gets deeper and you get to actually what it is that you may be wanting or needing for that moment, for that day, from your partner, from your friends, from your community, etc.
Okay, you mentioned connecting with a friend. So how important is community with regard to being?
I think it's so important, Gilda. I didn't realize, I think even up until not that long ago, moving here 2 years ago to this wellness community that I'm in outside of Atlanta, how important it was to me and how I didn't really have so much of it in the last place that I lived for a very long time. I did have friends, of course, but we're spread out, which is okay. That's okay too. But really just knowing that we have a few people, it can be a very small community. It doesn't have to be this giant community, but some people that we feel have our back and we have their back, and we can show up as we are, flaws and all, and they accept us. And just having a sense of some belonging. Studies are really proving that it is more detrimental to your health if you don't have that than smoking, obesity, I think even alcoholism, I read recently. But it's just finding community. And sometimes that means putting yourself, if you're an introvert, just finding ways that you can get out there to meet people. If you don't have that sense of a couple of people, again, you got to get out to meet the people if you don't have it. But if you do already have those people in your lives, really nurturing and nourishing those relationships are huge and can add so much to your life. And again, look, if there's an interest that you have, or try something new, even better. Novelty is also really good. Showing up for something that maybe you never tried before, and you meeting other people that maybe never tried it before. So get curious about that. but also follow your interests. I work with people who tell me they're just not happy in their lives. I'm like, what did you used to do that made you happy? What are some things that spark joy in you as a child? Because they'll say, oh, I love picking flowers, I love gardening or cooking or whatever it is. And I'm like, when have you done that last? And it's 30 years ago. Maybe try that again. Just do something that lights you up, and most likely hope you'll find groups. You can find groups, you can find other people that are interested in that as well. So yeah, I think it's really critical. And I think everybody is feeling it with the way that the world is now. We need that. We need to have community. That's not just social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that we haven't covered or something that you want to make sure our listeners have as an important takeaway from our conversation?
I think as far as community goes, to really know that there's the currency of connection, how important it is to feel to connect with others and to do it on your own terms, as much or as little, but to have a sense of community, of connection with others, and again with yourself first. Make yourself your first client. Love that spirit, the body that your spirit gets to live in. I just want everyone to have peace, have joy, have connection, love for themselves, and show up for their lives with presence.
Yeah.
That's the gift, is to be your authentic self. So my prayer is love for all, light for all, peace for all, grace and compassion for all, for this year and always.
On that very beautiful note, thank you so much, Liz, for your time and for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast. You can find it on Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, and other popular platforms. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like more information on this topic or anything else we've covered on the Autism Resource Podcast, visit us online at autismresourceproject.org/podcast. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover in the future, contact us through the website or comment on any of our social media channels. And be sure to check out our growing website often, since we are continually adding useful information and resources. I want to thank our listeners for spending part of their day with us. This is the Autism Resource Podcast, and I'm Gilda Evans, reminding you to take care of yourself and that special person in your life.